Imagine holding a lump of ancient bronze, no larger than a shoebox, its surface swallowed by centuries of green corrosion, its edges crumbling like the pages of a forgotten book. At first glance, it seems unremarkable. Just another fragment salvaged from the deep, the kind of shapeless relic that might sit unnoticed in a museum drawer for generations. And for a time, that is exactly what happened. Yet hidden within that crust of calcified metal lies something that should not exist. The unmistakable teeth of tiny, precisely cut gears, dozens of them, meshing together in a mechanism of astonishing complexity. This is the Antikythera mechanism, an object crafted more than 2,000 years ago in the ancient Greek world, and it has quietly defied everything we thought we knew about the technological limits of antiquity. Consider the scale of the puzzle. When this device was made, the peoples of the Mediterranean built with stone and worked with iron and bronze, but the notion of interlocking gear wheels arranged into a working analog calculator seems to belong to a far later age. Nothing remotely like it would appear again in the surviving record for well over 1,000 years, until the intricate astronomical clocks of medieval Europe. It is as though a single brilliant spark of engineering flared into being, then vanished, leaving only this corroded survivor as proof it ever burned at all. Scholars have long debated who could have designed such a thing, and how the knowledge to build it seemed to fade from history so completely. What was it for? Who turned its dials, and what did they hope to see? These are the questions that have drawn researchers, mathematicians, and dreamers alike toward a battered handful of bronze fragments, a machine that appears impossibly to have arrived from nowhere. To understand where this astonishing device came from, we must travel back to the spring of 1900, when a crew of Greek sponge divers, sailing home from the coast of North Africa, were forced by rough weather to shelter near a small, rocky island called Antikythera, adrift in the deep blue channel between Crete and the Peloponnese. While waiting for the seas to calm, one diver descended in his heavy canvas suit and copper helmet to explore the rocky slopes below. And there, some 45 meters down in the gloom, he glimpsed something extraordinary. The shapes of horses, limbs, and human forms scattered across the seabed. They had found the remains of an ancient shipwreck, a vessel that had gone down more than 2,000 years earlier, likely a great cargo ship laden with treasures being carried across the Mediterranean. Word reached the Greek authorities, and over the following year, in 1901, one of the earliest organized underwater archaeological recoveries in history began. The divers brought up a breathtaking hoard: exquisite bronze and marble statues, delicate glassware, coins, jewelry, and elegant furniture, all encrusted with the sediment of centuries. Amid this dazzling collection, one object attracted almost no attention at first: a shapeless, corroded lump of bronze and wood, fused together by the sea and cracked into pieces. It was set aside among the lesser finds, easily mistaken for a broken fragment of a statue or some unremarkable relic. For months it sat quietly in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, waiting, its true nature hidden beneath layers of calcified crust. No one yet suspected that this humble, unassuming lump would prove to be the single most intriguing artifact recovered from the entire wreck, a mystery that would puzzle the brightest minds for more than a century to come. The revelation began quietly, in the summer of 1902, when the archaeologist Valerios Stais examined the corroded lump more closely and noticed something impossible etched into its surface: the unmistakable teeth of a gear wheel precisely cut, and beside it, faint traces of Greek inscription. It was a discovery that made little sense, for gearing of this sophistication belonged, so the textbooks insisted, to a far later age. How could a mechanism of interlocking cogs have existed in the ancient world, when nothing remotely comparable would appear again for well over 1,000 years? For decades, the object resisted understanding. Scholars could see wheels within wheels, but the fused, fractured mass guarded its secrets fiercely, and every attempt to peer inside risked damaging the fragile bronze further. The breakthrough came slowly, as new tools were brought to bear. In the mid-20th century, the British physicist Derek de Solla Price devoted years to the puzzle, and by using X-ray and gamma-ray imaging, he began to glimpse the hidden anatomy within, layer upon layer of toothed wheels, meshed together with astonishing care. What emerged was staggering. This was no simple device with 2 or 3 gears, but an intricate assembly of at least 30 precisely engineered wheels, some bearing more than 200 tiny teeth each, all cut by hand from a single sheet of bronze. They were arranged to turn one another in careful ratios, translating the motion of one dial into the movement of many. Price recognized that these ratios were not random. They encoded mathematics, cycles, and relationships of profound complexity. The corroded lump was slowly transforming, in the minds of those who studied it, from a broken relic into something else entirely. A machine, deliberately designed, whose very existence rewrote what anyone believed the ancient Greeks were capable of building. What emerged from those interlocking wheels was nothing less than a working model of the heavens, as the ancient Greeks understood them. Turn the crank on the side, and the entire sky came to life. A pointer traced the path of the sun through the 12 constellations of the zodiac, advancing day by day across a calendar of 365 days. Beside it, the moon moved at its own quickened pace, and here the ingenuity becomes almost breathtaking, for the builders knew that the moon does not glide at a constant speed. It races and it lingers along its elliptical orbit, and to capture this, the makers devised a pair of gears mounted slightly off-center, one riding upon the other with a small pin sliding through a slot. This clever arrangement made the moon's indicator speed up and slow down exactly as the real moon does in the night sky, reproducing a subtlety that would not be mathematically explained in Europe for another 15 centuries. A small rotating sphere, half silver and half dark, even displayed the changing phases as the moon waxed and waned. Behind the front face, hidden spiraling dials tracked the great rhythms of time itself, the metonic cycle of 19 years, after which the phases of the moon returned to the same dates, and the Saros cycle of 18 years, by which the ancients could anticipate when the sun and moon would align to cast their shadows in eclipse. There is strong evidence that pointers once traced the wandering planets as well. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn drifting against the fixed stars. Held in the palm of a hand, this bronze device did not merely tell time. It held the ordered dance of the cosmos, turning centuries of patient sky-watching into a mechanism that could be read at a single glance. Yet the gears alone could never have revealed the full ambition of its makers, for the bronze was also a page, covered in writing almost too small for the naked eye to perceive. Some of the letters measure barely more than a millimeter in height, engraved with astonishing delicacy across nearly every surface, inside and out. For centuries, this text lay buried beneath corrosion, illegible and forgotten, until modern imaging changed everything. Using high-resolution X-ray computed tomography and a technique called polynomial texture mapping, which relights a surface from countless angles to coax out the faintest impressions, researchers began to read words untouched by human eyes for 2,000 years. What emerged was a kind of instruction manual and cosmic guidebook combined. There were descriptions of the planets and their movements, references to their colors and to the risings and settings of prominent stars throughout the year. There were markings that named the months in a Corinthian dialect, hinting at where the device may have been designed or used. Most remarkable of all, portions of the text seemed to describe the very mechanism itself, explaining the meaning of its dials and the phenomena its pointers were built to display. In places, the inscriptions read almost like captions, guiding the user through the sky it modeled. Scholars have now recovered thousands of these tiny characters, and though gaps remain where the bronze has crumbled into fragments, the surviving words leave little doubt about the object's purpose. This was not a toy, nor a mere curiosity. It was a teaching instrument and an astronomical reference. a portable summary of everything the Greek world understood about the heavens. Hidden in letters finer than a grain of sand was the confident voice of ancient science, patiently explaining the order of the universe to anyone who cared to look closely enough. And yet, after such brilliance, silence. For more than 1,000 years after this device was crafted, nothing of comparable intricacy appears anywhere in the archaeological record. The knowledge that allowed artisans to cut dozens of interlocking gears, to translate the wandering rhythms of the cosmos into turning bronze, seems to have simply faded from the world. It is tempting to imagine that this was a single genius's masterpiece, a one-of-a-kind marvel that left no successors. But the confidence of its design suggests otherwise. The elegance of its gearing, the assured hand behind its inscriptions, hint at a tradition, a workshop, perhaps a lineage of craftsmen who understood these principles well enough to make them ordinary. What we may have found is not the beginning of a technology, but a rare survival.